All right, Couch Coaches, we are back here on Couch Coach Live, another Tuesday edition of Couch Coach Live. Somewhat of an unprecedented. Well, we have the NFL. I have a Tuesday night game where we have the Tennessee Titans with a somewhat of a comfortable lead over the Buffalo Bills, 14-10, with 2 minutes left to go in the first half. So I got my guys in here. What up, Maui? What up, JB?
What's up?
What's up?
What up?
Chilling,
How was y'all?
chilling.
How was y'all week? Let's go around the horn. How was y'all fellas weeks this week?
Oh, mine is it was a little stressful, especially Friday. But
Mm,
then Sunday, I just felt so much better by the end of the night. I don't know why.
yeah, JB.
I mean, my week was good. Just
Yeah.
taking everything in stride. We'll talk about Sunday a little more because Sunday was kind of a down day. Sunday was kind of a down day for me, but not for basketball reasons, for another reason.
Yeah,
But we'll talk
yeah,
about that
yeah,
later.
Yeah,
yeah.
that was definitely a down. Yeah, that was a definitely. We definitely allude to that later on in the show. But yeah, the week was cool, and yeah, Friday was very very interesting. What I mean, and I guess we'll talk about Friday kind of a little bit before.
Oh, there it is. Sorry,
So yeah,
I'm
so
sorry.
before we allude to the Lakers win their 17th championship, Friday was very very interesting. And
Hmm.
and what's funny, and that's why I wish you guys was on Twitter, because like Twitter is like the cesspool of like LeBron haters. And you're like, these people, I was like, this is unreal. Like the hate that was skewed. And I don't know it happens, but then it's funny how we all was like collectively like, watch, Danny Green gonna get that shot. And lo and behold, Danny Green gets that shot. Game five.
Yeah.
Well, game five, y'all thoughts before we get into the good stuff.
Oh,
You want to go first, JB?
yeah, I'll go first. Well, I
All right.
mean, game five was, like I don't think that I think you can criticize the pass from the standpoint. I think he passed to the wrong person. Like I think that when you're looking at the situation, yeah, uh, LeBron does this all the time. He will pass, and I mean, he makes the high IQ play, and the high IQ play was to pass on that situation. I would have maybe passed to KCP in the corner because KCP had been consistently knocking down the shots. So I think that I don't criticize the pass. I criticize who the pass went to, is what I will say. But from the same token, though, I think that Markieff Morris, is that Markieff or is that Marcus? I get them confused.
Markeith.
What's
Yeah,
Marquise?
Markieff. I, I
Yeah.
think I think I think that Markieff got kind of let off the hook because I think that he gets the rebound. Now, I thought originally he should have shot it, but like they were able, Iguodala did a good job of closing off on him very quickly. I think that he made the wrong pass to AD. I don't think that you passed the ball to AD and I think I would have passed the ball back to Danny Green again, but I probably would have passed to LeBron. And I think that was my takeaway from game five. But I mean, game five was a great game. I think it was one of the best final games I've ever seen where a team was down 3-1. Like, I just wish that it would have been tied up 2-2 because that would have been like a great game. Because I was thinking about it. One of the best game fives I've ever seen in my life was the game five, 2006 between the Mavericks and the Heat. That was a great game five. Went back and forth, and Dwayne Wade hits like 23 or 24 free throws, and they win the game in overtime, and then they close out game six. But I think LeBron had an awesome game in game five. I mean, him and Jimmy Butler, man, that was a duel, man. They went back and forth with each other, and I don't understand why people keep on trying to compare him to Kobe and compare him to Michael Jordan because he's a different kind of player. I've always told people I think the better comparison when you're comparing LeBron James to another great player, compare him to Magic Johnson. He's not a shooting guard. Like Michael Jordan was a shooting guard and Kobe Bryant was a shooting guard. He's a small forward. He's more comfortable setting his teammates up. So I mean, like I just thought that like you really can't criticize him because I mean every good thing that happened in game five, the last 3 minutes LeBron did himself. Like I mean, because AD was kind of out of it. He had the Hill injury and everything like that. But like I thought that like some of the criticism was a bit ridiculous. You can criticize who the pass went to, not the fact that he passed. It was just my takeaway.
Yeah. Mal, your thoughts?
I think that how can I say? I mean, I was hurt, but you got to take it for what it is, and it's the best. It's the best. I mean, people act like it was about to be 2-2, and I know momentum, but it's like it's the best out of 7. So it was close, and he made the right play. You know what I mean? I do wish he could have swung it to KCP too, but it is what it is, and just I mean, me personally, I don't want no. This is no disrespect. I feel like I'm happy I hate. Oh man, truthfully, I'm happy they didn't win in the Mamba jerseys, and the reason why is because I want them to make their own mark as Lakers. You know what I mean? Am I wrong for that? I don't want to no disrespect Kobe, but I want them to make their own mark because when you look at that team, I watched everyone. They all a lot of rejects. You know what I mean? That people was saying that Wayne gonna make it, quit and cook. JaVale McGee is a butt of jokes. Rondo, people thought he was done. You know what I mean? It's Dwight Howard. You know what I mean? Kyle Kuzma. You know what I'm saying? The prima donna. Like, so I was hurt, but then I was like, I just didn't feel like they were playing more of the Lakers I've seen that went 17-1 in October and November after they lost their first game. They pushed the ball more. They played scrappy defense. Even Alex Caruso. Like if you really look at the whole team, it's like a bunch of just rejects. You know what I mean? Even LeBron. And you would think that he would get the true respect, but they always put a butt on it. You know what I mean? When he did not go to college, everything he did was in the NBA. You know what I mean? Losses, ups and downs, bad decisions, everything. He's the product of the NBA. You know what I mean? Like he really, really is. You know what I mean? But anyway, I appreciate that, JB, because I feel like like he said, like to be a guy that big, even when he was younger, and to trust his teammates. That's one thing that Kobe and a lot of Iverson and a lot of those guys was because they were scorers. They was like, man, they just was hard for them to trust their teammates. They love their teammates. It was just hard for them to trust them. And Danny Green is Danny Green. Like I would have thrown it to Danny Green too. Danny Green supposed to knock down 3-pointers. I mean, defensive 3-pointers. He's supposed to do that. You know what I mean? And he's got championships. He's got a third one too. You know what I mean? So when you look at KCP was balling, but I would rather have been Danny Green. You know what I mean? But hey, they did what they were supposed to do Sunday.
Yeah, and that's the thing when we were looking at on Friday. We were like, well, watch. And I said, and I quoted, and I was like, watch. They could give it to Danny Green because it would be the iconic story where a guy that was shooting 20% from the field from threes hits a game-winning shot like that, and it's like it would kind of fit into that narrative. But and like you said, shooters gonna shoot, and like we said, and that was criticism, but like you said, he's a shooter. Shooters gonna shoot, and hey. It just didn't work out in that game, and hey, it ended up working out going forward for them in Game 5, and Game 6. So definitely, nephew still got a ring, but he just wasn't a hero at the end. But it's all good. I thought it was gonna be a precursor to Saturday, but everything all worked out. So let's actually talk about Game 6. The series clinching game that was nowhere near close, where Jared Dudley played in the fourth quarter. Like shout out to Jared.
I got Jared Dudley. Yep,
Jared Dudley.
He made $60 million. $60 million and finally got a ring.
Jared Dudley tweeted, "Name a better trio." Internet went crickets. But before we get into that, so fellas, your thoughts on the Lakers' 17th NBA championship? I'm gonna go with you first, Malway, and get you going with that.
You know what's weird about that? I didn't even know that. I didn't know Jenny Buss was the first female to win a championship. I didn't know that they was number 17. And I didn't know any of that. I'm too busy hoping that they win a championship and all these guys be respected. You know what I mean? And they played the way I know they play. Yeah. That's how they play. I'm telling you, when they lost that first game against the Clippers, the next game, I think they played Golden State, and it was AD took over the second half, But then that's what they were. They played defense and they run transition. They push the ball. You know what I mean? And I believe when they saw Jimmy Butler get up and he could barely walk in that press conference, I think that was the beginning to the end. And then they was, you know what I mean? I just felt that was it. I was like, man, I don't think he has anymore. You know what I mean? Excuse me.
I agree. Yeah.
I think that was it. And they just, that's what they do, man. That's the true Laker basketball. They scrappy. They, you know what I mean? Like I used to say, they played a certain type of defense, and I used to be like, okay, cool. You know, they're gonna sit Avery Bradley down. They put Rondo in. Avery Bradley and Rondo to me is a lot. They play defense a lot alike. They scrappy. Then Alex Caruso was scrappy. It's like a lot of pressure. You know what I mean? But I was just excited, man. I got a projector. I was literally in the TV, in the screen, like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I was just happy for him, man. Like if you want to truly close out, that's how you do it. You say, hey, we are on another level. You know what I mean? And that's really how you're supposed to do it. If you're gonna close out, you got to say you guys are not on our level. We've been prepared for this all year. And I mean, me personally, shout out to Coach Vogel. I mean, I seen behind the scenes. And some of them guys really don't know how to play defense. They just athleticism. They didn't know like when pick and roll, how to step up and things of that nature. And I've seen him and practices teaching Dwight Howard how he needs to step up, you know, and things of that nature. So I mean, sorry, a lot of people don't want to give him respect, but he deserves it. He deserves it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shout out to Frank Vogel.
Big time.
I had to watch the game by myself because I was with family members like I usually do. I couldn't do it because I was getting too emotional because I wasn't going to let them disrespect Frank Vogel. Because I felt like when you have somebody like LeBron, like, and the way he had all these different personalities, to hear him say like Rondo was like, even though I was hurt, they still had me in film in meetings and my voice meant something. You know what I mean? And a lot of coaches ain't going to do that. You know what I mean? So shout out to them.
Yeah. JB, your thoughts on the Lakers 17th championship?
I mean, wow. So don't take this as like me hating, but like, I mean, like, they deserved it. They played the best in the bubble. They were the better team. And I think, unfortunately for Miami, the injuries kind of caught up with them. I think Jimmy Butler had like a big load. He was playing 47 minutes a game. And I think Dragic's absence like loomed large with them not having another guy who could create. And Tyler Hero did not have a really good. He didn't, in my opinion, he didn't have one good game in the series. But like, just from a fan standpoint, I think that as a fan of a small market team, I was kind of bummed that the Lakers won. And from the standpoint of this, like, you have teams that do everything right. You have teams that have. You have teams that have good front offices. You have teams that draft well. And if you're in a small market, you just have a hard time attracting, you know, a top 5 player. Like, one thing that I've noticed just from NBA history, you need multiple Hall of Famers on a team to win a championship. And, you know, you look at the Lakers the last few years, their front office have kind of been like in shambles, you know, with Magic Johnson and stuff like that. And, you know, like, they won the championship because they had 2 great players on their team, Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And I guess it's kind of disheartening for me because, you know, Chris, I've liked, you know, the Hornets and the Pelicans for a long time. And, you know, you just see teams like the Lakers who are just, you know, big market teams that can attract high-end talent. And, you know, high-end talent can overcome like dysfunctional front office. And, you know, I just think it's kind of disheartening that, you know, if you're a small market team, you might never win because you're not going to be able to attract high-end talent because you just don't have the money and you don't have the resources. So as just a basketball fan, I knew the Lakers were going to win the championship, but like as like a fan of a small market team, it was kind of sad because I'm looking at the situation now with New Orleans. New Orleans may never win a championship, and they may not make the conference finals with Zion Williamson. And, you know, I just think that if you are in a small market, you have a lot going against you, and a lot of times you're not able to attract a high-end free agent or get like a high-end, you know, like trade, like with an Anthony Davis. So, I mean, like, I just think as a small market fan, like, you know, like it's kind of disheartening when you see a team like the Lakers win the championship because like they just have a lot of resources that some teams just can't have. A Milwaukee, I think if you're a Milwaukee fan, I think that you have to be a bit disheartened too because, Giannis is probably gone at the end of the year. And if you don't win this year, you're going to have to start from scratch again. So those were just my thoughts. The Lakers were clearly the better team, but as like a small market fan, you kind of like are disheartened when you see these teams that sometimes they don't do things the right way by drafting or via the front office, but they're still able to attract high-end talent because they are in a big city and they have all these, amazing resources and money. So those were just my thoughts.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, I'm definitely huge shout out to the Lakers for winning the championship. This was a very weird year for them. I mean, you literally think about how this has really been almost a whole year, in its whole in totality. As I talked about it Sunday night, where just the things that this team has went through, just the adversity, as far as, and then the death of Kobe Bryant after coming off of a arduous East Coast trip, then hitting your stride right before the season got spending. We talked about that big weekend, which we were supposed to have that bet, but Doc and them boys didn't do what they take. And we talked about how that. I remember we talked about that March the 10th for the next day before the NBA suspended. And then now you in a situation 3.5, 4 months, and now you're playing in this bubble where this is being in a bubble. That's a very, very tough. And I hate how people have been kind of menacing the fact of, the bubble is nothing. No, just imagine being somewhere and you're stuck there. You can't go nowhere. You know how, like, you think about it out, especially in how the playoffs is and just how it is. You might have a day or two where you want to get away. They couldn't do this. They, they had to really just stay in their bubble. And I just think it's just, and, they went through their adversities. And then I think one of the most quintessential moments I always remember about this team, that game 2 Anthony Davis shot, and he yells out Kobe. And that's something that we all have done in our backyard. And, it's coming up and like shooting that shot, hitting the game winning shot and calling Kobe. And I thought that was like one of those things like, oh man, that was, to me, that kind of got to me. But
that was iconic.
Yeah, that was iconic. And that was one of those moments where I was like, man, that's something that I'm like, wow, that brought out all the emotions. But great series. Glad you guys caught up with the Celtics, man. Yeah, y'all, you guys are now tied with 17 rings, and I'm hoping next year we have a Boston LA so we can find out who gets that lead. I'm hoping for a Boston LA next season.
The NBA is too, and just another quick thought I have about the Lakers winning championship. I think it's a bit ridiculous how people are saying that there should be an asterisk besides because it was in a bubble. I think that you winning in the bubble, I mean, like, it's tough. Like, you were away from your family, you were away for your routine for like over 2 months. So, I mean, like, I don't think that you can take anything away from these teams that won a championship in a bubble. I mean, like, they won 16 games. You won 16 games, you deserve to win the championship. So, like, I think that the whole asterisk beside a championship is a bit ridiculous. And the other thing I wanted to touch on too, that you mentioned, the Lakers and the Celtics, man, like, the ratings this year were horrible. And I think part of the reason why, I think that the ratings would have been awesome had the Celtics beaten the Heat. I think Boston versus LA would have been like a dream scenario finals for the bubble. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. So,
I think it's that, and I think that I think it's the political portion of it also. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I agree.
They're saying they're not going to do it anymore. But you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. Shout out to the NBA for even doing it. They really didn't have to. Because the bottom line is, and I think that's a part of the issue too, where everybody talking about an asterisk and this and that. I think people forgot there was nothing on TV. We was watching Tiger King. We watched The Last Dance, Ozark. Like, was nothing on TV. Y'all remember that? You know what I mean? We was watching old stuff on YouTube, and it was cool. We was watching some old sports, but it was nothing on TV. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So they put something together, and it's like now because it's a little bit of the norm, everybody's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. But the NBA did a very, very good job putting this together. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they did. They did.
Not just for money. Of course, it was for money, but also just so we can have something to entertain one another, because it was starting to get a little crazy in these
Oh
streets
yeah.
out here. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It was starting to get a little crazy.
And I know we don't talk about we barely ever talk about hockey, but like I think the NBA and the NHL did a very good job of putting this together. They did a very good job, and I think the bubble was a success, and I think that like maybe next year, actually, what do you guys think about this? I actually think that next year, maybe if the situation is still going on, I would propose two bubbles. I would have an Eastern Conference bubble and I would have a Western Conference bubble, and just have it that away. And then, per se, once you get into the playoffs, maybe have like the conference finals, like just in one location with like the four teams, like the Eastern Conference teams and the Western Conference teams. That's what I was thinking about, because like because that's what basically the NHL did. They had a 24-team playoff, and then basically once they got to the conference finals were held in the same arena. So like, I think that actually might be a good idea.
Yeah.
I also feel even in the bubble, you were more into what was going on. Like you heard things, you saw the small details and stuff, and you saw that these coaches really was coaching. You know what I mean? Like if you go back to, and I felt like the Heat should have done that. I feel like, I don't want to mess anybody's name up, but when Bam got hurt, the game 2, I think he should have kept that team together, because it made AD have to come out of from inside and near the basket. I think his name was help me out, Chris.
Olynyk.
The two? Olynyk and the other gentleman.
Yeah, Kelly Olynyk.
And the other gentleman, tall dude with the tall dude for the Heat. I think he's like foreign.
Olynyk.
He played for Portland. He used to play for Portland.
Oh, Meyer. He's American. Myers.
I felt like I wish he would have kept, because I think the Lakers had some issues with that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like what I'm saying, the way I was watching it, because them dudes was knocking down threes. You know what I mean? They was knocking down threes, and it opened up for them dudes to like Nunn and Hero and Butler to drive a little bit more. I just felt like he would have played that rotation a little bit better, a little more.
I think that he tried to, but I think Game 4 was kind of clearing Game 4, because Game 4 was when the Lakers went up 3-1. Olynyk, he was a bit of a disaster on defense, and if he's not making threes, like he's pretty much on. If he's not making his shots, if him and Myers Leonard are both, if they're knocking down their shots, you can kind of say, okay, well, there are some defensive deficiencies we can live with, but if they're not making shots, you can't play both of those guys, and I think that's what the issue was. So I just think the biggest thing, my takeaway is just the fact that, like, I think Jimmy Butler, he played admirably in defeat. I think one of the biggest knocks on him, Chris, and I actually told people I saw a little bit in this last year, and I thought Philly made a huge mistake by not like re-signing him. I think a lot of people thought Jimmy Butler wasn't a great playmaker, but he showed last year, like, people forget, Philly almost beat Toronto last year. And one of the big reasons why they almost beat Toronto last year was because Jimmy Butler basically took over point guard duties. And I mean, Jimmy Butler is a hell of a playmaker. He's a hell of a competitor. He gives it to you. And I think that Jimmy Butler he's a really good playmaker, man. Like, and I think that, like, it's unfortunate what happened to Goran Dragic, because, he's a vet, and he may never get another crack at the NBA Finals again. For you to go out Game 1 and Game 6 he played, but a torn plantar fasciitis, you're not going to be the same person. But like Jimmy Butler played admirably in defeat. Man. He played great. He played great, man. I mean, I think that he showed people that he's a top 10 player. I mean, he was going toe to toe with LeBron in Game 3 and in Game 5, man. So I was happy for Jimmy Butler.
Yeah,
I'm happy for him too, because I think that as a player, and I feel like even with LeBron, that they end up going to a place I think they're gonna be taken care of now. Like, you know what I mean? Me personally, I never felt like LeBron was taken care of, except besides the first 7 years when he was in Cleveland. But they got rid of everybody, from Danny Ferry. The owner sold the team to Dan Gilbert. It wasn't the same people he went in with. You know what I mean? So I feel like with Jimmy Butler, the same thing. I feel like he finally got as a place where, everybody's getting along, everybody's a team, everybody motivates one another. You know what I mean? They all looking You know what I mean? Like I just felt like he with a great organization. From what I was hearing too, a lot of teams when they talk, they say, "Man, if you really want your organization to make it, be more like the Heat." You know what I mean? So, hey, man,
Yeah.
Shout out to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because all of them, to me, they all like little Jimmys. They all like in pause, but but they to me they all kind of remind me of Jimmy as far as like as far as kind of like the underdog type. So I look at those. It was a perfect recipe for that organization. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, LeBron James. What do you guys thoughts on we're really just gonna talk about just what you thought his thoughts present day and just how he's in the conversation as far as in NBA history. I'm gonna go with you first, Maui. I'm gonna go with you first.
I just think it's special, man. You know what I mean? For me, him just be able to overachieve with everything that he's done. Taking his losses, coming back. He'll lose the first year, and then the second year he always winning. He always be successful. Like I'm just happy for him, man. Like I said, I remember. I'm just happy that he's able to do something that he got passion for, and he's being successful. I'm happy that like every time they had people on his team, like it's just like I was sitting here thinking when in 2016 that they fired Black. Didn't they fire Blackman that year? That season, right?
They
fired David Black.
Yeah,
and then they went and got all these players from New York.
Yeah, they fired them.
They went and got these players from New York. Ty Lue, first time being a head coach, and then they win the championship. You know what I mean? And I'm just sitting here like, damn, like it's always these extracurricular obstacles that's in his way, and he makes it happen. You know what I mean? And that's cool. And that's cool. Like, and I'm just happy for him, man. Like, like just happy for him, B. You know what I mean? I'm just happy for him, his family. You know what I mean? I'm happy for the way he be like Quentin Cook be like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm sitting here writing Quentin Cook and like he got another ring and like LeBron he played with him with the Cavs and you know what I'm saying? Like it's just Waiters. Like Waiters got a ring. He ain't really people say he was on the bench, but bro, like they said that him and LeBron didn't even get along. You know what I'm saying? People said that he left Cleveland because he didn't even want to play with LeBron and he got a ring. You know what I'm saying? With him. J.R. Smith, like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I'm just, and then what I'm getting to is for me too, he's very special because sometimes when special people bring other people together, like, JB, this is one of the reasons I'm even on this show. You know what I mean? Because I was having conversation with somebody at the radio station, and then he said, I got a sports show here. Me and Chris get to talking, and that's how we end up getting where we at right now. Yeah. And I said, I'm gonna show you where he's from. He is nothing like the media trying to make him out to be. And we end up going to Akron and he gets to see it. And I didn't even know that. I was just talking you know what I mean? And then my brother's a success story because he's inspired by him. You know what I mean? Like he wants to be he's going to school to be a sports agent, to own his own sports agency. But he's getting coaching. LeBron introduced a basketball to him in some type of way. You know what I mean? He just like him because we from Akron. And then he goes to see where he's from. And then the way LeBron plays and his IQ, my brother looks at it from the same standpoint. Now, that inspiration in my brother has inspired other people that he played basketball with. Some of them in the league, in the NFL, some of them in college. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like he's just a special dude, B. Like this, it's something extremely special about him, man.
Yeah,
seriously. Yeah. It's a lot of people that has eaten off of knowing LeBron, and they have been very successful, either loving him or hating him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially hating. We'll leave that person nameless. JB. Before I get to JB, tell me why your boy JR had his shirt off for like 10 seconds to go. Your boy was ready. Your boy had his shirt off for like 10 seconds.
Obama, JR, Put your shirt on, man.
Right.
Put your shirt on, JR.
But yeah, JB, your thoughts on LeBron?
Well, with like they say, 3 is better than 4. 4 is better than 3. So it's always great for him to get like another one. So he's joining rare company as a player who's won 4 championships. Like not that many people have done that. So that was good. So like that's he's making quite an intriguing case for where he ends up like on the top list when he retires now. So that was I was actually I was happy for a few of the coaches actually, because I didn't realize until like afterwards that like Vogel wins his championship. So like that's good. And I think Vogel, to not to the casual basketball fan, but I think to like your regular everyday basketball fan, I think Vogel had been respected. I think Vogel did very good work with Indiana. Just he could never, like I mentioned before, like Indiana was one of those well-run organizations that just couldn't attract, that high-end superstar. So they weren't able to get over the hump with LeBron. So I think Vogel was always considered to be a top 5, top 6 coach in his days with Indiana. Lionel Hollins, he didn't realize he was on the coaching staff. Phil Handy, man. Phil Handy, he 6 straight finals appearances, 4 with Cleveland, 1 last year with Toronto, and then this year with the Lakers. How lucky can you be? Like 6 straight times in the finals. So it's always great. Thanksgiving and Christmas with Jonas's family is going to be a bit awkward now. His brother gets the championship before he does. So
True.
that's going to be kind of awkward. Like he's going to say, "Hey, I got one of these. Where's yours at?" So
yeah. And yeah, definitely huge shout out to our guy Stephen Gillespie for breaking the game. He's checking us out tonight. Got a few statements. He said can't argue with him, even if you're an MJ guy. Well, a logical one anyway. And also another thing he's pointed out as well. One thing to remember: those not wanting this ring to count to take away by the first ring by a woman owner. Much respect to Mrs. Buss. Definitely shout out to Jeannie Buss. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, Jeannie Buss. Shout out to Jeannie Buss. I'm happy for LeBron. This is another great accomplishment for him. And the interesting and the fun thing about it all is the story isn't over, and he's 36 years old. And the funny thing about it, and we talked about it, matter of fact, and to Lou Stephen, I was on his podcast right after the game, and we even was conjuring up things like, wow, what if he, at a point where the Lakers win their 18th, 19th, potentially 20th championship, potentially. We looked at those type of situations and like how he will be put on such a different pantheon, because now he will be the one that led the Lakers, quote unquote, to the most rings in its entirety, not all together, but as far as in NBA history. So that's going to be an interesting caveat going forward. And I honestly, to be real with you, and it's almost as weird as to say, and it's almost kind of not to counter argue with JB's argument, but you got to think about it. This is a very impressive, because we look at the Lakers. This Lakers franchise is really downtrodden, and like you said, and they do have the luxury of being in the big market. But we gotta really think about it. 2010, they win the championship. 2012 or 13, they have a billboard begging Dwight Howard to stay. Like the Los Angeles Lakers were begging Dwight Howard to stay. Like, and yeah.
But I think that in that situation, I think the biggest thing was that Kobe Bryant was on his last legs at that time. And I think that, generally speaking, now what I will like retract and say this is that if you're in a big market and you have a great player, things are a lot easier. So like the Lakers struggle because they didn't have that great player until they got LeBron. And you see the Knicks are a great market, like are like a big market, and like they suck.
Yeah, and that's and to bring it to really back in, where you look at that situation, and then we got to a point where the situation, like Kobe was towards the end, and then we had Julius Randle, those guys, D'Angelo Russell, these guys, and to a point where we were like, God, like the Lakers are really have fallen off a cliff when we looked at it at one point, and then LeBron comes in 2018 and it just changed everything. So that's one thing too. I'm really impressed by all this coming together so quickly. And so I'm definitely, and then now he gets into a point where we talked about, as I alluded to earlier, where he could be a part of NBA history as far as guiding this Lakers team surpassing the Boston Celtics as far as most champions and most championships in NBA history. So,
and that is motivation.
Yes,
that is extreme motivation.
And it's funny because really how we got to that subject when we talked about it on Sunday was a lot of people said, "Well, you think this is it for LeBron?" We were like, I know. I think this story is just beginning for him. Like you said, and I think he's at a point where it's like he's chasing something that yeah.
No, you good. And I could see it because he doesn't have to work as hard now that they don't want a championship. If they do what they're supposed to do, and everybody go to the next level, he's not going to have to work as hard. You know what I'm saying? He usually have to work so hard. But like I said, with this team, when I started telling my dad, I said they have rotations. I'm telling you, Dad, they have these different rotations. And he'd go sit out and he'd be like, no, he need to be in the game. You know what I'm saying? You need to be in it. He's like, nah. And then you would look and you'd be like, damn, AD out there and it's a whole different squad. And then they'll come back. You know what I'm saying? And remember in the regular season, that's what everybody was saying. When LeBron's not on the floor, the Lakers just aren't blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's always has to be something to necessarily, like him getting hurt last year helped him get motivated for this year, right? Then now with this is more, and then the Laker Nation it's Lakers that's still not giving him the respect he deserves. And he knows that. See, that respect remark, people think it has to do with MJ. That's over with. You know what I'm saying? This is like when people don't even look at Kobe as one of the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Which he is, but they don't. Some people say it, some people don't. But Kobe was a Laker. Do you know how hard it is to win with a Laker with all that? You know what I'm saying? All those banners up there and all that pressure. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot. You know what I mean? That's a lot of pressure. So, man, that's a whole nother motivation.
Yeah, big time. All right, so definitely huge shout out to our guy Steven, who's definitely got a great question for us. So, how do y'all feel about LA not flying the Minneapolis banners? It's kind of been a story recently. I'm gonna go around the horn. Who wants to answer the question first? I'm gonna go with you first, Maui, the resident Laker guy, champion Maui.
You know why? Let me tell you why, man. Because they're new Lakers. There's not too many. There's some older Lakers. It's people now that don't even realize how dominating the Lakers were. They think Golden State is the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? Like, if for real, they really, really do. But I think, I'm sure the older Lakers is probably upset about it or this and that. But man, I'm gonna tell you something though. Right after those Kobe Laker fans, they're different. They're different, bro. That's like I'm gonna be honest with you. It's like it's only a few, probably 30% talk about Showtime nowadays. They talk about Mamba. The Mamba Lakers is different. They not worried about Minneapolis Lakers, be telling you. They not worried about them. They talking about the early 2000s and 2000. You know what I mean? Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. You know the thing that bothers me though? Yeah. Nobody talks about Phil Jackson, and I don't understand that. But anyway, go ahead. I don't understand that.
JB, your thoughts on on the question? How do you feel about LA not flying Minneapolis banners?
I mean, I think that they should. I mean, like
Me
Minneapolis
too.
is where they won. Like, what I think they won their first, like, what, 5 or 6 championships in Minneapolis. And actually, there was a time period where they were far more successful in Minneapolis than they were in LA. Because I think people forget the Boston Celtics like dominated the Lakers for a stretch in the '60s and the '70s, where every year they were making it to the finals and they were getting their heart broken. So I mean, like Minneapolis is responsible, for 35% of their championships. So they should be flying them. It's NBA history. You were originally in Minneapolis. You were the Minneapolis Lakers. So I mean, they should definitely, fly them in the arena. But like that's their personal choice. And Maui, what you said about a lot of these young fans, they don't know about history. We're going to talk about football in a little bit, but like one of the things, like I was born in '84, but I've talked to like a lot of Cowboy fans that were my age and a little younger, and they don't even know who Roger Staubach is. And Roger Staubach to me is Mr. Cowboy. So I mean, I just think a lot of these younger sports fans, they don't know the history of the teams that they support. And I'm pretty sure the same thing, Chris. I mean, like I'm pretty sure there are quite a few younger Redskins fans that don't know anything about Joe Theismann, John Riggins, and stuff like that. Like, I think these young people don't know anything about history. So I mean,
and when they don't know about Sonny Jurgensen, they don't know who's Sonny Jurgensen.
Yeah, I know. Like, I mean, I just think that's just a thing. I think that younger people don't know anything. Yeah, and even your point about them not talking about the Showtime Lakers, I'm pretty sure there are some Laker fans that don't even know who James Worthy was. James Worthy would walk in the room, they'd be like, "Who's that?" So I mean, like, I just think that it's a part of the times, man.
Yeah, and to answer Steven's question, I think they should, because essentially,
I think they should too.
Because they're the Lakers, because that's their nickname, was because of the lakes in Minnesota. So essentially, that's how they got their name, because this wasn't a name that was derived once they got to Los Angeles. So definitely, that's their identity. I mean, in my personal opinion. But yeah, man, it's people walking out here that don't know nothing about the legend, the GOAT, Sonny Jurgensen. You right about that. Lamar laugh. So,
hey,
all right, now
ask Lamar, do he know who Bernie Kosar is?
He know. And the irony of it all, he's a real historian, especially when it comes to Cleveland stuff. Because we talked about one time like Joe Juravicius, somebody. It was somebody. It was we talked about somebody.
My favorite, Webster Slaughter. You hear me?
Yeah,
my favorite, Webster Slaughter, boy.
God, because we talked about Bernie Kosar, because I remember he was there when Belichick was there, and it's funny that we talked about Bernie Kosar. And it's funny how you brought that up too. I remember we talked about that one time in the car when we, when we was working together one time, and we were talking about Cleveland and all that good stuff. But yeah, man. So great segue. So let's talk about the NFL. So, the Dak Prescott injury, obviously, if you haven't been on the rock, suffered a compound fracture and a dislocation of his right ankle. He's out for the season. JB, your thoughts? I'm gonna get you. You're the resident Cowboy guy on this panel. Your thoughts?
Yeah, when I saw it, man, I was like, fuck, it's not good. Like, I saw it and I instantly knew, I was like, your ankle shouldn't go that way. And I like, honestly, man, like his reaction at first, like, I mean, like, he's got to be he's a tough SOB, man, because like he didn't really even let out like a screaming plane. He just motioned for them to come over. Yeah. So, I mean, like, man, that like, honestly, when that happened, like my heart sunk. Now, I'll talk about this a little later. I feel if this was like the 2015 Cowboys, and you have fucking, what's that guy's name, the one that was the backup for, if you have Matt Castle, yeah. and Brandon Whedon, then I'm just like, but like, we'll get into that a little later about like what it means for the rest of the season. But like, I just my heart sunk. I'm glad to hear that the surgery went okay. I don't think it's as bad as what happened to Alex Smith, because Alex Smith was like worst case scenario. Yeah. So I think he'll come back. I think he'll come back soon. Now I know for a fact that Jerry Jones is going to take care of him. He will probably be franchised again. If he stays healthy, he will get his money. He'll get his money. He'll get a contract. might not be from the Cowboys, but he will get paid if he comes back because this injury, from what I heard, surgery went successful. It was a clean break, limited like ligament and other structural damage or whatever. So they said it's about a 4-month injury. So my instant thoughts were just like, I hope he's just okay and he has a good quality of life as a human being. Those were my first thoughts. Like football, and with a situation like that, football is like the next thing in my mind. But like, I hope he's okay as a human first. Was my thoughts. So
yeah. Mal, your thoughts?
Man, I didn't see it. I heard about it. I seen it today, and I don't know, man. Just shout out to him. You play the game. I know I'm gonna use an analogy. I was watching. Joe Rogan was talking to one of my favorite boxers all time, Roy Jones, and he said, I have a mentality of when I fight that I may die in the ring, and he also seen somebody die in the ring. So when you play that type of game, it can happen. You know what I mean? So it's good to hear JB said that, the surgery went well. I think if one stuff like this, when it happens to you and he recovers from it and he be able to play again, I think he's going to be better because you will play more disciplined. So that situation. You won't play scared. You'll play more disciplined. You understand what I'm saying? So that situation won't happen again. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to go through things to go to a different place. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, I seen it, man. And he looked like he was trying to get up. You know what I mean? And then once he seen it, he said, come here. And, it's just sad, man. But dealing with the Cowboys, I don't know. They may do well with Dalton. Dalton looked pretty good after. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah. And what's crazy about it is, and all this stuff is weird because our game was done. And what's weird with me, I never watch 4:00 games. So I'm so engulfed in our post game shows and all that, and doing my normal routine. I end up watching you guys' game, and I actually seen it happen. And it was such a weird reaction. At first, I was like, his ankle ain't supposed to be there. Because at first, I was thinking, did he take his shoe off? And I'm like, no, it's broken. And that first thing I was like, oh man. And then just that raw emotion, like you said, that for him just to be just crying and biting the towel, like you said, I know, having something like that happen, just scream to, and naturally just scream, and like how he was able to keep his composure in that situation. And like you said, it's a tough break for him. If you look at a silver lining in all of this, guy like a Connor Bowen. You remember Connor Bowen, JB? Remember?
Yeah.
He had the same injury in 2018. 2010. Pardon me. And he ended up coming back the next year. And I think he ended up becoming I think he had 11.5 sacks. And I think he played 8 years after the injury, and it actually became a Pro Bowl after the exact same injury. So it's like you said, it's gonna, and like you said, he got the surgery right away. He's home. He's safe. He, definitely not what Alex Smith went through, which was, and that's one thing too. And it's funny how you bring that up, because it's like Alex Smith was kind of reluctant to kind of reach out to him, because he was kind of like, well, let me just wait to kind of, talk to him, because I don't want him to freak him out, because I think that it's going to be just as bad as my injury, which I think they're going to be, I think they're going to be reaching out soon to Dak. But yeah, man, like you said, and like you said, you don't wish injuries on no one, and like you said, I care about now and then, just the whole mental health aspect. I pray for him, as far as just health wise and then mental, because as I mentioned earlier on the show yesterday, where especially when you're dealing with what he's been dealing with off the field, football is somewhat of a respite for him, and then that opportunity essentially has been taken away from him, in the current moment. So definitely hoping, praying for him mentally and physically during this time.
Yeah. And Maui, what you said, I feel more confident with the backup quarterback situation than I have in some time. But I just think that Dallas's defense has been a disaster so far this year. So I don't think it matters like what Dalton does. Dalton could still hypothetically play good, but if the defense doesn't play better, they're not going to be much better. So I think it comes down to if Dallas's defense can get a little better where they're just like a little below average, they'll be fine and they can win the division. But if they're still like, 30th and, getting gashed for 300 yards running the football like they did the prior week against Cleveland, and to be honest, I mean, Prescott had been playing his ass off and they were still 1-3. So, I mean, like, I think Dalton will do fine. Dalton, he's a vet. He gets the ball out quickly. He had a lot of success. Actually, probably you could make the argument he's the most successful quarterback in Cincinnati Bengals history. Now, he didn't get them to the Super Bowl like Boomer Esiason did, but, he got them to the playoffs. Like, what was it? Like, Chris, like, he got them to the playoffs like 5 straight years, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, he knows what he's doing. He's definitely, he's a grown-up. You can give him the car keys, but, like, the defense, man, the defense is just, it's abysmal.
Yeah, I got you. But, man.
Yeah.
Motivation and an inspiration can be a mug, man.
And it
Dak
could be.
Hurt like that. To see Dak like that, and then that division, no disrespect, is horrible. You know what I mean? You never know what can happen. And I was just, from what I saw the highlights, and to see Elliott look like he did a run to make a touchdown, I was like, ooh, that looks special. You know what I mean? He looked fired up. So
motivation because Chris, I mean, I remember, this was more horrible than what happened to Dallas, but when Sean Taylor died, he dies. You guys lose that game against, I think, Buffalo. Y'all lost the game against Buffalo.
Yeah.
And then, what was I going to say? Y'all were 5-7, and y'all came together. Y'all won the last 4 games, and, y'all won 4 straight games and went into the playoffs. Y'all lost your first playoff game, but, definitely teams tragedy or, something horrific can bring teams together. So I do agree with you on that point, Maui.
Yeah, man. No, man. Don't get me teary-eyed, brother. Todd Collins, the old Michigan man. The old Michigan man led us to that year. So, guys, are you guys ready for some breaking news?
Go ahead.
All right. So, let me. The Jets have released Le'Veon Bell. Come on home, baby. Pray for McCaffrey. Let's pray for McCaffrey. Like, my God. Like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Come on home. We need you. Come on home. No. Y'all got no. Come on home. At least be Cleveland. Come on home. Please be Come on home. It's okay. We forgive people. Yes. Yeah, man. So let's get that rolling right now. Let me get that. Okay. So yes. Thoughts on the Jets releasing Le'Veon Bell? JB, you want to go or want me to go?
I'll go first. I'm not surprised, man. Like, the Jets are a disaster this year, and I'm just gonna go this. Like, I think that, look, don't take gambling advice from me usually, but I'm pretty high on this. If you want to bet on who's going to be the next coach fired, look at Adam Gase in New York. Like, things are spiraling out of control there, and it's spiraling out of control really quickly. If another coach is to get fired, I think he's going to get fired. And I think it's probably a good move that they got Le'Veon Bell out of there because if things aren't going well, man, you have to worry about what he's going to do within the locker room and how that might affect team chemistry. So, I mean, I think it's probably for the best for both parties for the Jets to just, get rid of him and then for him to maybe be able to sign with a team that's better and, be in a better environment. So. Come on home, baby. Hey.
Look, this is what Maui think about it. Le'Veon, come on home. Yeah, come on. We know what to do with you. We know it's just a conversation and just a little discipline from you. Go, do what you're supposed to do. You gonna be okay. Come on home. Bottom line is, yes, he needs to be fired. He is ruining that team. I feel bad for all Jets fans. I feel bad for Mike, my boy Mike, my boy Mike, who's a Jets everything. Like Jets everything. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for the Holland your Holland Spring player.
Oh, Makai Becton. Yeah, but
That I'm happy he in the league, but he got to sit there and deal with this unprofessionalism that's going on over there. And I feel bad for Mike Greeny because I know he is just hurt. Like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So yeah, he it's time for him to go. If the Atlanta Falcons coach is gone, it's time for him to go too.
Yeah.
It's just time, man. Like what? Like, how are you gonna say, oh, they released Le'Veon? Man, you don't need to be releasing nobody for you get fired. We just trying to make I'll be saying, look, we having a rough time now. We're really trying to get it together. We're meditating. You know what I'm saying? Like we're going on a retreat. We really trying to get our team unity together. No, you're releasing players. Come on, man.
Yeah, and I'm not, like you said, I'm like JB. I'm not surprised either. I mean, like I say every week, the Jets are the worst team in the National Football League between them and the Giants. And they Washington football team, but I digress on that final point of that. But yeah, and I think it's about time for them to do it. Like you said, I think Adam Gase is next. He'll be next in line. Joe Douglas, Richmond guy, up the road in Mechanicsville. Proud of Mechanicsville, Virginia. I think he's gonna have to put the handprints on his team and craft it the way he wants to. And we feel bad for Makai now, but he'll be blocking for Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
He'll be blocking for Broadway Trevor and next year. So everything's gonna be okay. Just endure. I mean, you went to Louisville. Yeah, I mean, he was at Louisville.
On another quarterback.
It's just gonna be just as bad in Louisville sometime. I mean, Louisville that last year was a little rough for him, and as far as the team success, but he was fantastic. But it's just this Louisville all over again. Your junior year, you'll be all right. It was gonna be okay. But Trevor's on the way.
Hey, Le'Veon, come home. Call Tomlin. Call him. Have a stoogie and everything, man. Just sit there. They bring Ben over. Ben like the barbecue. He make good barbecue. I'm sorry.
And if y'all bring Le'Veon back, y'all better get that boy his stuff back. Y'all know y'all took all that boy stuff out of his locker that time. Y'all better get that boy his stuff back.
Right, they're so petty, man. Get him his stuff.
Jordans and everything.
Look. Hey, look, Juju, like, man, it was just a prank. Here you go.
What was it? Like week 9 or something? Remember, like,
right.
He was eligible to come back, and then they just cleaned out his locker. And that was so funny. Like,
Le'Veon, don't feed into that. Look,
get that man his stuff back.
Just come on back. We need you. We rank none. Come on, man. We were supposed to get that bowl anyway. Let's go, Le'Veon.
Get him in time. Get him in time for y'all can beat Cleveland, please.
Man, look. Even if we lose, let me tell you something. Let me explain this real quick. It's not even hard. Even if we lose to Cleveland tomorrow, they got to play us again. And guess what's going to happen? It's usually an important game, and you know what they always do. You already know. You know what I mean?
And what's funny, because I looked at that game which y'all play in week 17. Who knows what day that's going to be played? Because I was like, well, that could be the Sunday night flex game, but shoot, the way things are going, that might. Who knows?
Right.
Things are just ever changing so quickly, and which will do to it in
Baker looked like he might be a little banged up too.
Oh yeah. He was laboring, especially in the fourth quarter of that game.
Yeah, he got a rib injury.
He was laboring.
It's already starting. Baker banged up. Chubbs is hurt. Did he come back or he's still hurt?
He'll be back maybe in about 2 weeks, I would say. Nick Chubb, he'll be back in 2 weeks. Right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Kareem Hunt got hurt too. Kareem Hunt got hurt too as well in the game on Sunday. Yeah.
Landry was dropping balls right in his hands, and that ain't even like him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just telling you what I saw, just to let Bear know that I'm paying attention and understand, bro. I'm a Scorpio. So don't think it's because I'm chilling that I'm not focused.
Right.
Right.
All right, so fellas, let's talk about week 5 of the National Football League. What do you guys just thoughts on the week itself? I'm gonna go around the horn. Malwa, your thoughts on just week 5 of the NFL season?
I didn't watch too many. I was had my daughter, so I watched some highlights of the game. The Cowboys, I saw that game, and it's a little, like you said, Dak was balling. You know what I mean? And then when he got hurt, like I said, I saw Ezekiel Elliott run a touchdown in, and they fought. I saw it. I saw the Saints game, and it was really good to see. It's gonna be rough for them, man, but they fought back and they won. You know what I mean? I watched. Let me see. Of course, my game, the Steelers game, which they did dominate at first, and they let them back in the game. But with my Steelers, I feel like, Ben finally got what he wants. He's the leader of the team. It's his team. Like, it's literally his team. Like, you know what I mean? So what I mean by that is, no Harrison, none of those guys. It's Ben. There's no big stars. You know what I mean? It's Ben. And if Ben is balling and being smart and doing what he's supposed to do, that fuels the defense, and then we're dangerous, I can't really think of nobody else. I had some stuff written down, but I got a question. What's going on with the COVID and things of that nature? How's that going?
Terrible. And I allude to one of the biggest points that kind of had me and I'll let JB get the floor momentarily. So essentially, one of the biggest things that I hated was the Patriots and the Broncos situation, where essentially they were supposed to play Monday night at 5:00.
Mm-hmm.
Then on Sunday, they're saying, well, no, the game is postponed. And guess what? You have a bye week today. Today's your bye week.
Yeah, I saw y'all talking about that.
Like, what? And so now they don't essentially have a bye week. They are playing next Sunday. Well, they're playing this Sunday coming up. But yeah, so JB, and then then there's a lot of schedule changes within, and this is just the beginning. And obviously, while we have a Tuesday night game, is essentially the Titans situation, which was the root of it all, and the beginning of the super spreader event in the National Football League. But JB, your thoughts? Your week 5 recap thoughts.
So I think that Russell Wilson, man, he's making a push. He's got to be the runaway MVP so far this year. Like what he did, driving them 95 yards in under 2 minutes. Now, me and my dad, we argued about this. Now, what would you have done if you were Minnesota in that situation? You're up 26-21. It's a 4th and inches. I don't mind them going for 4th down, but I mind the play call. I think that the idea was okay, but I think the execution and the play call was bad. I would have done a quarterback sneak with Kirk Cousins, because you look right there. You're up 26-21. If you get the 1st down right there, you win the game. Now, my dad was like, you kicked the field goal. And I think if I had been a coach, I probably would have kicked the field goal, because you kick the field goal, you're up 29-21, and then they have to drive the length of the field, get the touchdown and the 2-point conversion to send the game into overtime. But what did you guys think about that?
A part of me, and that's like you said, it's two thoughts. Anyway, so I think if I'm conservative, yes, I'll go for the field goal. But a part of me is like, if I want to run down this clock and essentially keep, and kill the clock, I would have went for it. And like you said, if it was 4th inches, maybe I'm a riverboat run kind of guy, but I probably would have went for it on 4th down and got, like you said, quarterback sneak, just to at least get some of the time off, so kill the clock.
Yeah, I don't mind the play call there. I don't mind going for it, but I mind the play call because I think that Dalvin Cook's not in the game. I think if Dalvin Cook doesn't get hurt in the game, I think Dalvin Cook gets that 1st down, they win the game. You're handing the ball off to a backup running back. So I didn't like that. I think you go for it there, and I think that you do a quarterback sneak. The other thing I want to shout out to the Steelers, Chase Claypool, the Canadian, with the huge game. with the huge game. So those were just some thoughts about Week 5, and then what happened to touching on the Atlanta game. Like I'm looking at Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan looks cooked. He doesn't look like he's the same quarterback anymore. Like it's kind of hard to believe he won MVP 4 years ago. He just doesn't look like the same quarterback anymore. And I think that they just had to make the right move, man. I think that they had to fire Dan Quinn, man. And I think that, unfortunately, man, they never recovered from losing that 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl. And shout out to the Panthers, man. The Panthers are 3-2. And actually, I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on this too. Like, actually, I was listening to a podcast, and the guy, he made a very compelling argument. He was saying that he think the best thing that happened to the Panthers this year was the fact that Christian McCaffrey got hurt. The fact that Christian McCaffrey got hurt, they're relying on other people on their offense. And Robbie Anderson, man, he's balling, man. Like, I mean, the Jets look really foolish for letting that guy walk, man. He's turning into a very good receiver. Teddy Bridgewater, who, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater, nobody's going to argue that he's a top 10 quarterback, but Teddy Bridgewater, he's steady back there, man. He's a grown up. He's not going to make too many mistakes or whatever. And shout out to the Panthers, man. They're 3-2. And their offense looks above average, man. I thought that they were going to struggle to score, and maybe if Christian McCaffrey doesn't get hurt, maybe they're being very conservative. But I think that, like, since Christian McCaffrey's gotten hurt, man, they've opened up the offense, man, and they look good. So shout out to the Panthers. Yeah,
and the Panthers, the funny thing about it, because I looked at them was like kind of a team that could compete in this division, because like they have a guy like a game manager Teddy Bridgewater, but like you said, then your boy, they're running back to what, Mike Davis, all right? Mike Davis, because I remember, Mike Davis, yeah. But Mike Davis, he's doing this thing, and like he's having somewhat of a middle class Christian McCaffrey like production. For this Panthers team, like saying, and like Robbie Anderson, like you said, like the Jets once again, like what is going on? And Robbie Anderson is now starting to become a bona fide receiver. DJ Moore is doing this thing, and so that's another thing too. Like this Panther team is kind of coming together, and then we gotta definitely huge shout out to the orchestrator of this offense, Joe Brady. So yeah, so it's another thing where I like that Carolina's just interesting. And then I was really fascinated at how they all drafted all 7 guys on the defense. And I was like, God, just imagine once they grow up, couple of guys like Kawan Short, all those guys, and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be a team that's gonna be the reckon with going forward. They could be a team, as far as leading this division in a few more years. But yeah, man, they're off to a great start. Yeah.
Oh,
2020, man.
And one more shout out I have to give. I give a shout out to the Raiders, man. The Raiders, they shocked.
Yes.
They played a really good game. They frustrated Patrick Mahomes most of the game, and I'm really fascinated by the Raiders, man. I think that the Raiders they're gonna be. I actually, in my preseason rankings, I had them as a second place team in the AFC West, and I had them competing for the wild card. So, I mean, I think that that's definitely still in play there. So, I mean, like the Raiders with a big win on the road in Kansas City, shout out to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they balled. I watched that game, man. Matter of fact, my mom came in because, we got a player on the squad, and I was just watching the defense, especially since, I had followed them a couple years ago for last year, and then watching the defense, and they look inspired, man. They fast, they get a chance, and I think they buying into their coach, you know what I'm saying, and really believing in themselves. And then, I think it seemed like Carr is playing with a little more confidence now, you know what I mean, and they just looked like they just had their foot in their neck and they wasn't gonna let go. Yeah. They wasn't gonna let it up, man.
Ruggs is balling.
Right.
Ruggs was balling.
Right.
And
Jacobs, Waller.
Right, yeah. Don't look now, but the Raiders, man, they're on the come up. I think one of the teams, and I alluded earlier about the bye week, another team that really shocked me, the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I didn't watch it yet though.
And to me, I'm like, even though San Francisco is they are a beat up team, but hell, this is the same team that had a double-digit wins over the Jets and the Giants. So to me, to go all the way to Santa Clara and have a 43-17 victory over San Francisco, was good to me. I like that situation, and I mean, that's really the only thing.
Dolphins,
the
Dolphins are feisty, man.
Yeah,
they're feisty.
Yeah,
feisty team.
Right, yeah, they're going. They're coming up, and they actually got a good version of Ryan Fitzpatrick this week.
Yeah, so. Fitzmagic. Yeah, they got a good. They got a That's the thing.
Conor McGregor.
That's the thing that's scary about Fitzpatrick, and I think that like he basically, and nobody's gonna argue that he's a top 10 quarterback, but I think that defensive coordinators, like when they're going against Miami, they have to worry about him because you don't know. He has the ability any week to throw for 300 plus yards, like up to 400, 4 touchdowns, or he could throw 4 interceptions. So I mean, he's really, you don't know what version, and you might get good Fitzpatrick and bad Fitzpatrick in the same game too. So I mean, I think that if you're a defensive coordinator, you kind of have to worry about like, is this guy gonna go bananas this week? And like, what do we have to do to stop him? But like, yeah, he played good. And San Francisco, those injuries are definitely they've definitely caught up with them. Not catching up with them, they've caught up with them. So
yeah, man.
Shout out to Big Ben. That last play that was it Claypool. He told the defense exactly what he was going to do. What it is.
The former Notre Dame product, and man, I'm telling you,
right?
Pittsburgh keep on out there, man. They keep on churning out these wide receivers, man.
Right.
Right. So let's put a bow in this week's Couch Coach Live, fellas. Your final thoughts. I'm gonna go around the horn. Final thoughts, fellas. Malway, your final thoughts.
Oh man, final thoughts. I was watching the show, and T.I. was talking about the Laker gang and the James gang and how people get so upset because, people go where LeBron go. And you know what I'm saying? I'm like this. He's successful. He won a ring for you, where truth, like we said, a lot of people don't even know that they think the Golden State is the Lakers. You know what I mean? So you got a chance. You got your 17 championships. So now it's time to come together because there's a lot of hate, like a lot of hate. You know what I mean? So now it's time to come together, man, so you can get this number 18. So my final thoughts, man, just let the negativity go and move forward.
Yeah. Final thoughts for me was it was great seeing Alex Smith back out on the football field, like after all he went through. He almost had to get his leg amputated, and he's back playing football 20 months later. So that was great. I hope that they do a better job of protecting him in the coming weeks, because I mean, his welcome back to the NFL, getting sacked like 6 times. Like getting sacked 3 times by Aaron Donald is not like a good thing. So it was just great. It was great to see him. Great to see him back out there. It's a great story, man. I wish the NHL, they have an award. They have a Masterton Award about like for players who overcome like adversity. They overcome tragedy. They persevere. And I kind of wish the NFL had an award like that. And I think that if they did have an award like that, definitely Alex Smith will win that. So yeah. Final thoughts, man. Definitely another great show in the books. Just wanted to do a few little shout outs. Definitely a huge shout out to Brandon Sports Talk, who had me on Thursday. Also, definitely huge shout out to Stephen Gillespie, Breaking the Game, for having me on for the NBA Finals. Also, Jeff Need Sports podcast I was on his on Saturday. So definitely a huge shout out to these guys. And also Rich from the Slick Talk Show had me on Saturday, discussed LeBron James and just the Lakers and kind of get on me about how tough we are on athletes in America. So definitely huge shout out to those guys who had me on to their podcast this week. So fellas, who gets this week's game ball? JB, you go first. Game ball. I will give my game ball to I'll give it to LeBron James this week. I mean, he wins his third Finals MVP with 3 different teams. First player in NBA history to do that. So he gets my game ball, and I also will give my second game ball. I'll give it to the Rob Pelinka. For just what he had to deal with becoming, the GM, and then with his best friend dying this year. It was a great ending for him, because I mean he had been through a lot. You would say the last like 18 months. So I give both of them my game balls this week. So
yeah, big time.
Appreciate that, JB.
Mal, your game ball.
Oh man, I'm gonna give my game ball to my brother's team, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, ranked number 6. Season starts November 25th. It's the conference is sorting out because it's going to be a delayed start, 27 game limit, and they still discussing some safety guidelines and everything. But shout out to them being ranked number 6.
Yes, sir.
Big things popping. Big things popping. Let's go.
So how your brother like it? Stark Vegas.
Yo.
I'm so corny with
First off, you know what's messed up? He went down there and went to the same barber, and the barber cut his beard. So he got like a big goatee. You know what I'm saying? But he got a new barber now. He still looks sharp. But it's I could tell it's weighing on him a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But it's coming along, man. Like if they get things situated, he's gonna be traveling and stuff, you know what I mean? And this Mississippi State, man. Like,
Stop. He went to see Mama Jean yet?
No, I ain't saying nothing yet, man.
No,
I'm trying to get in touch with Rich Paul, see if I get him a job.
Right.
Right.
He tell you, bro, when you get home, bring some of them cheese wontons back.
It's so stupid.
But yeah, man. But my game ball, Alex Smith. I think now, after the loss and everything, I kind of got back to my senses. Definitely huge shout out to him coming back 693 days since at that time of the injury, and definitely him coming back. And man, a day I never thought was going to happen. Honestly, I think when you look back in November 18, 2018, if somebody would have told me then, I didn't think he was going to have. And then obviously with with everything, the surgery, been in the hospital up until the first of the year, didn't have the halo up until about August, July, right around that time, still having the halo. And you would have told me now, like he's played in the game. And it's impressive. Definitely huge shout out to Alex Smith, and just glad he's a part of this organization, man. Definitely. We need a guy like him in these tough and trying times. Yeah. That is the Washington football team, but we will all persevere, and he's the catalyst of a guy that we know that things all can be rough, but it can all get better.
Hey, can I say something real quick?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just game ball real quick. Yeah. Definitely game ball to Dwight Howard. Got his first game ball, honestly, to see Pleasant. And there's a documentary on Showtime, if you guys want to watch, about C Pleasant basketball. Talks about Kevin Durant, Michael Beasley, and Quentin Cook. Quentin Cook got 2 rings. Don't KD only got 2 also? He got 2, right? Yeah, we got 3.
2.
So just the simple fact that both of these dudes are from C Pleasant and played ball, you know what I mean, there, and they mentor actually got arrested that just got out of jail this year. That's great. And then Quentin Cook also, his dad died, and his favorite team was the Lakers. Yep. And Kobe was his favorite fan. So shout out to him, man, because I know this has got to be the greatest feeling, you know what I'm saying, that you won a championship on your dad's team. And also, I'm going to take the game ball from Cheese and J.R. Smith and Marquez Morris that left him at the arena.
Y'all did my boy dirty. Y'all know y'all did my boy dirty, man. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Morris 22, give it to him. His interview was great because these dudes, like his brother's daughter was born and he couldn't be there because they was in the bubble. You know what I'm saying? It's so much stuff with sacrifice that came with it, B. And I was just like, and he was just like, to see a guy like that who's has a reputation, but him and his brother, to win a championship and be like, man, they got our leaders on this team is crazy, because everybody dogged him through Twitter and whatever because of the mistake that he made. You know what I mean? Just shout out to him, man. I'm just happy for him, bro. Happy for him.
Yeah, man. This was a good team, man. This was a good special team. Guys that you root for, like I said, Dwight. He goes to Orlando and wins a championship. The irony of it all, where but what's so funny, because so funny we say this jokingly, but remember when we had when we talked about how we were thinking that the players were going to boycott, not in August but in June, and we was like, Dwight Howard was kind of on the fence, and we were like, well, this is a great opportunity for him to win a championship in Orlando, and boom, we predicted it, low key, low key predicted, but
right,
yeah,
right.
Dwight wins a ring, and then the first thing I thought about, man, I wish we didn't have a bubble, because LeBron would have won that in Miami. Pat Riley would have lost his mind.
And that's what's weird. The storyline, if it would have been the Celtics, it'd have been about the Los Angeles Lakers and the Celtics. This storyline was about LeBron, Pat Riley, and Eric Spoelstra. My dad was like, "That's some media stuff." I'm like, "Nah, bro, nah." So next season is about Laker domination, because you got them Nets coming, you got them Golden State dudes coming. Them Golden State games are going to be so wild, because Battle of California, bro.
Yeah, man. That shit gonna be fun, man. And I guess we're taking January potentially.
Hey, when the Lakers won in 2010, didn't they play Orlando?
No, they beat Boston. They played Orlando. They played Orlando in 2009. Yeah, they played Orlando in 2009. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. They played. Oh, so Lakers played. Okay.
In 2010. Yeah.
So 2009 they played Orlando. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man. It's just crazy how all this how this happened. Like Dwight, I thought that's the first thing I thought about. Dwight wins the championship in Orlando.
And what I liked about this show too, man, is that when he said that respect, people automatically went there, and I'm like, man, step back and look at the team, bro. I said, look at Jenny Buss and everything she went through with her brothers. Look at Rob Pelinka, because Magic blamed everything on him. You know what I'm saying? And then just look at the rest of the team. It's like a bunch of, just.
And then also and I forgot to address this as well. But shout out to your boy Rich Paul.
Rich Paul, bro.
A thorn in Pat Riley's side, huh? Oh, I just don't like that Rich and Maverick and all them going to plane with LeBron.
Look,
2 years later.
My insider said that Clutch Sports players was the only players that was actually getting paid during the shutdown.
Yeah, wow. We talked about that. Yeah, we talked about. Yeah, I remember you were telling me about that.
Wow.
Now, as far as how he had that in the contract.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Rich Paul, man. Rich Paul. Man, I'm telling you, he'd be around you. You think Oprah got some influence? Be around LeBron. That's the maddest touch. Yeah.
Yo.
Y'all think Oprah influenced y'all? No. LeBron like, hold my bill.
It's COVID, wrong. They ain't got no parade. They not gonna have no parade.
No. And then they're like, well, we gonna wait. Wait for what? When they're not gonna have a parade, like these teams, not everybody's gonna be on the same team next year. So they're not gonna have a parade. Like they might as well have a parade. All them people was at Staples Center Sunday.
Like some like 80 people got arrested too. Yeah, well, I guess Sunday night was like the de facto parade, but there were no players there. There was no bus. There was no confetti pouring down. So.
I'm like,
it was a lady in a bubble. She was like, "Yeah, I'm in a bubble," and she said, "Guess what?" Lifted her, like she had a T-shirt under her jersey, and it said, "What she say? I'm your mamba or something like that or something like that. She literally was in a bubble, like walking around.
This is strange. Like, and then thank God, like you think about it, when you think about like in the NFL, when you win the Super Bowl, oh, we're going to Disney World. You can't because it's closed.
Look, but I told you though. Remember, I kept telling you, man, that professional wrestling, they do certain things. Do you know they got a bubble with virtual fans now?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Thunderdome, the Thunderdome, yeah,
with
man.
virtual fans, people with big heads, you know. I was thinking, like, are you serious? Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, dude. All the big wrestling things in America are like in a bubble right now. So you have WWE, and then you have AEW, which Cody Rhodes he actually started that, and I think AEW is located in Tampa, and the WWE is located in Orlando. So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so
yeah, man, it's a trip, but yeah, man, definitely great show, fellas, and man,
great show.
Yeah, the king got a ring, and we're here for it. And man, we'll catch you guys next week. Man, this week's Couch Live.